Hey, good day, everybody. It's Jon Trask, still in northern Thailand. Today, I'm visiting a giant tea plantation where they grow green tea. Uh, we received a lot of questions in the last week, and I want to take some time to answer some of those questions. So, we've got questions about the hack, we've got questions about Dimitra's business, what our future plans are. And I'm going to cover a bunch of those questions today in this AMA session. Thanks.
So the biggest question we get is about the hack, and I'm going to read the statement because I want to make sure that I'm complete in what I say. We understand everyone wants more details about the hack, but at this moment we must allow the authorities to conduct their investigation, as this was an extremely complex attack. What we can confirm is that the attack was highly sophisticated, involving deepfake technology to impersonate well-known individuals in a series of online meetings, as well as the installation of an infected virus plugin from a widely used online meeting tool. As previously mentioned, we've opened an official investigation with IC3, a cybersecurity institution linked with the FBI. Following our initial report, our CTO and myself have been in direct contact with the FBI to provide all relevant details. As soon as we can determine what information can be disclosed without compromising the investigation, we will share further updates with the community. However, we cannot predict how long this process will take. Additionally, we've asked for the freezing of multiple exchange accounts linked to the theft. We believe the FBI will work with the exchanges to obtain details about the owners of these accounts as part of the investigation. Given the complexity of the attack, our existing protocols were unfortunately not sufficient to prevent it. However, our new security protocols will ensure this will not happen again. Most importantly, we want to reassure everyone that the hackers no longer pose a risk to the project. We appreciate your patience and support, and thank you as we work through this situation. We know it's been a trying time, but the community has been great and very supportive.
So the next question is, what is happening with the tokens in the hack? And can people buy tokens? Yes, please go ahead and buy on any exchange. One of the key things that happened was immediately a lot of the tokens were stolen, were sold on DEXs. They were sold on exchanges. Some of the exchanges reacted quite quickly and managed to freeze some tokens. Those frozen tokens, after the investigation and any related court cases, will likely be returned to Dimitra. But the rest that have been sold are in circulation. So there's lots of tokens available on Uniswap right now. Feel free to go and buy on Uniswap. Some of the exchanges still have deposits locked. So it's a little harder on some of the exchanges to purchase and move tokens. But yeah, please go to all of the places that DMTR is traded and trade if you're choosing to trade. Thank you. Yeah, so one of the questions we get a lot of is regarding buybacks. And there's a couple types of buybacks in our marketplace. One is a buyback that is intended to manipulate the market. Because of regulations in some of the countries that we do business in, we can't execute a buyback that is intended to manipulate the market or manipulate market price. We can build and get approved buybacks in part of our strategy. So as part of our protocol strategy, we go through a process of making sure that we're following the regulations in the country. And when somebody pays DMTR in order to use our protocol, part of that DMTR is a buyback. The same thing happens with RWA. We have RWA projects in certain countries of the world. Kenya, for example, we have buybacks involved with RWA. When somebody invests in an RWA project, part of the proceeds of that project goes to buying back DMTR. And then lastly, we have business units around the world, and those business units license our software to different agricultural and food companies. And in those countries, we're permitted 50% of the revenue goes back to buying back more DMTR. All of this creates a circular economy and helps DMTR with volume. So as our protocol and our many protocols get released over the next year and coming years, the use of those protocols creates volume for DMTR and becomes an official buyback. Hope that answers your question. Thanks. Yeah, so from a token marketing perspective, we get some questions. I can say that I'm here in Thailand, but I'm on my way to Hong Kong for Consensus. It's a big event. We're going to be at CoinFest this year, be at the Bitcoin event in Las Vegas. This year, we're taking a lot of the leaders in the company and they're going to local events to try to build brand awareness, make connections for Dimitra. Beyond that, we do work with Cointelegraph. Through the Consensus partnership, we're doing some CoinDesk stuff, and we'll be doing some additional marketing throughout the year. Beyond that, some marketing on X and some paid advertising on X. So we'll be picking some of those great posts that the community create and boosting those posts and trying to do some more work in social media. So one question is, would we consider opening a U.S. corporation? Certainly this year's pretty exciting in the U.S. There's been a change of leadership, and with that change of leadership has come a desire to support crypto globally and become a leader in the crypto space. With that will come some changes in regulations, and as those regulations unfold, we can determine whether we can legally and safely operate an organization within the U.S. borders. The sentiment has improved greatly, and not having the SEC pursue legal cases against almost any crypto that has been operating in the United States is a huge bonus, and we look forward to see what that brings with the new leadership and the new committees that have been put in place in order to make sure that the U.S. becomes a leader in the crypto space. So a lot of questions have come about what are our focus areas in 2025, and one of our core focus areas is the development of our protocols. Over the past few years, we built some great AI to do analytics and monitor the performance of certain crops, the performance of the soil, and how the soil is prepped. We have a deal in Brazil right now where we'll be monitoring 150,000 farms, and most of those farms are soybeans. So every month, the bank will get a report on those 150,000 farms from our AI through our protocol that will actually talk about the performance of the soybean and help predict what the soy yield will be, help educate the farmer and the bank on what they can do to improve productivity and how they can mitigate some risks like pests and moisture and water levels to make sure that they get the best performance. All that wrapped into a protocol allows that to occur on any farm in the world, and any organization that has a need to be able to predict soybean or any of the other crops that we work with will be able to use our protocol, enter a geofence and enter some data, and for a certain amount of DMTR, get a report on a daily, weekly, monthly basis that's going to measure performance. So that's one of the true value of the protocol. What that does is it really lets every other software company in the world that wants to work in the space use our technology and pay us for our technology through DMTR. We have a couple other protocols. We have an environmental protocol, which is really about environmental compliance and deforestation. You've all heard us talk about deforestation, and the new deforestation law goes live at the end of this year. So every shipment going into Europe needs a deforestation clearance. That will have a protocol for anybody to use. And lastly, one of the ones we're working on, and we've got a number of carbon projects that we're working, is our farming or agricultural carbon and agroforestry carbon protocol. So those are the three big protocols this year, all designed around generating volume and value for DMTR. Yeah, so this year we will also be focused on continuing our expansion in the global coffee world, adding more coffee farms and coffee regions. We've got lots of opportunity in cocoa. You see some articles about us in the cocoa space, and we'll continue to be pursuing opportunities with cocoa. Our United Nations program in the South America with pineapples is big. And, look behind me, I'm in a giant field of pineapple here in Thailand. And we'll be looking to expand deals for pineapple around the world. After our first 3 protocols, we'll be working on a trade finance protocol, and then continued expansion in sugarcane, and a number of other crops. So lots of exciting things going on at Dimitra. We've got lots of partnerships. We're always negotiating new partnerships. I got up this morning to good news from Europe and India about some new partnerships that are under negotiations there. And then on the carbon side, there is a lot of interest with some big corporations about sponsoring carbon-related agriculture projects. So we'll see as those discussions advance. But some of the biggest companies in the world, car companies and tech companies, are looking to buy carbon in the agricultural space. And we'll keep you updated as those negotiations proceed. Thank you. So one question is, are there any plans for raising token awareness? Well, we're always working on increasing token awareness. We're trying to up our game on social media, be more active in social media, create some videos and announce partnerships that are going on, and make some awareness of the different applications that we have and AI and how we're using that. Certainly this year we'll be working on marketing of the Dimitra protocol and how that relates to the DMTR token. And then we have a number of sponsorships and presence. Next week I'll be at Consensus in Hong Kong. I'll be speaking there. Carlotta and Andreas will be speaking there. We're also a sponsor of Pitch Fest, so we'll be on stage announcing Pitch Fest, and our logo will be present throughout the event. We have a number of events over the next year that we're working on, both on the agricultural side and on the crypto side. And brand awareness certainly is one of our objectives in 2025. So one of the questions we get often is how many farmers are using our application and how many farms are we analyzing and providing services to. Our growth has been exponential. At the end of 2023, we had about 400,000 farms that we were analyzing. Our current farms under contract for 2025 with EUDR, carbon, and all of our applications is about 2 million. So lots of good growth with the application. And we continue to see growth into the future. I think the key to our growth really is the deals that we have with cooperatives and governments and large food companies. We have coffee companies who are looking to analyze over 1 million farms in Ethiopia alone. We have soy investors in banking in Brazil who are looking at 150,000 farms. We need to continue to build deals like that. And those, we provide service, we develop new services, and there's a lot of appetite for AI that supports farming. Farming like's happening here on this mountain. We're on a farm that has both coffee and tea. And we had the privilege of seeing a family here out picking today. So we're very excited to be here in Thailand and looking at farms. Thank you. So one question is, how is the balance between free and paid services in Dimitra? And, I want to be clear that every project that we go into in the world has a predetermined and agreed upon revenue model. So a customer may come on board and get a certain number of months of free services in agreement to stay and use the platform for 3 years or 5 years. But it is always a paid revenue model. In some cases, we get paid as a subscription service, so every transaction may be paid, or an annual fee may be paid by the farmer or the farming cooperative. Or lastly, when we do a pre-clearance certificate or a clearance certificate on EUDR, we get paid when the certificate is created. So there is always a model that includes revenue back for DMTR. That revenue goes into the regional corporation, and 50% of the gross of all revenue goes back to buy DMTR on the market and create a cycle of DMTR where we spend DMTR in order to engage products and be involved in marketing. We get DMTR back as services, and that creates that circular economy, which all real world projects need. We must maintain a circular economy of tokens coming in and tokens going out. And as the number of users increases, that balance shifts. So we onboard a project. Each project typically has a 12-month or 18-month sustainability cycle. And then that project itself becomes sustainable, where there's enough DMTR coming in that the costs associated with the project are 100% covered, and the project becomes profitable in itself and is paying back in value to the Dimitra token through volume. So one of the questions that we get is around what regulatory challenges take place. And in our market, there's a lot of regulatory challenges. Every country regulates investment differently. It regulates crypto in different ways and regulates agriculture and farming. And some of those regulations help us, like the EUDR allows us to provide services to around the world. We have a new one that we're really focusing on in the coming years, and that's carbon and carbon credits. You know, if you're looking at a farm like this one, every large tree that's on this farm stores carbon. And as it stores carbon, we can trade that carbon on the carbon credit markets. So on a 1 acre piece of land, if a farmer has 100 trees, they may get 1, 2, 3 carbon credits for that. That's going to generate value for them, and it's going to be processed through our system every year. So a farmer on a 1 acre piece of land may get 20, 30, 50 or more dollars, depending on how many large trees there are. And on top of that, they're getting the value of their tea, they're getting the value of their coffee. And these large trees are necessary because they provide shade. And that shade, because this tea and coffee doesn't want direct sunlight all the time, it really is generating value and improving the quality of the product and the amount of product that they can produce. So that's a tie with farming, carbon markets. And you can see here all the leaf litter. All this leaf litter creates value because it helps store carbon as it rots into the ground. So we look at the residue on each one of these farms, and we can get some amount of credit for that as well. Anyways, it's really quite interesting when you look at farming in this context, and how with technology we can help farmers get a second form of revenue through carbon credits. So a question is, what are the biggest challenges Dimitra has faced in scaling adoption? Well, one of our biggest challenges is really getting technology into the hands of the farmers. And so many farmers use technology, but we enter many countries where maybe only 20, 30, 40% of the farmers have a mobile phone or a smartphone that can work with our app. So that is a component, and then training is the next big component. How do you teach them how to use the app? How do you teach them how to get benefit? And how do you align their educational needs with technology? So it takes some time, it takes some training, it takes some patience, it takes some learning on our part from what they need to make things work well. And so we're always excited to get in there, take on new projects in new countries, and work in new languages, and spread the success of the Dimitra software. Thank you. So lastly, I thank everybody for their patience over the past couple weeks. I know it's been a bit of a trying period for everybody here at the company, and everybody
out there in our community and customers. We are committed to moving forward. We're working really hard on our protocol, on the release and application of our app in many countries of the world, and we're excited to continue to do that this year. We're working on some brand awareness, but I really want to thank you, the community, for your time, for your patience and your support. The support has been outstanding over the last couple weeks, and I am really appreciative of that. So thank you for everything, and I think I have a bunch more questions I'm going to answer, and we'll try to get those out next week or the week after, but hopefully these questions that I've answered today have supported what you're looking for, and there are a bunch more that we'll try to answer, and I hope you enjoyed looking at the scenery in the background on some of these questions. Maybe not here with the curtains in the hotel room behind me, but on the tea farm and the pineapple farms and the coffee farms. So that maybe gives you a little insight to who we're dealing with and where we're working. Thank you, everybody. Bye.